So today we are pulling out my sister's handy dandy recipe box that I got her for Christmas a few years ago, and making a family staple, a very traditional dish in Brayon culture specifically. We're making ploys. You might be asking, what the fuck is a ploy? And that's fair. It's kind of a weird thing, but it's pretty much just a buckwheat crepe is the best way I would describe it. But the buckwheat that you need to use is a specific kind that you could only get in a certain region of even New Brunswick, which is already not very big. So the traditional buckwheat flour that you could get anywhere is milled still in the husk. This buckwheat flour, they get the grains out of the husks and then mill it. So it's only available certain places. You could use the regular stuff, but ideally if you're driving through Edmundston, pick some of this up at the IGA. Which I know most people probably won't. The regular stuff's fine. It's just not the preferred, you know? This is the regular buckwheat, so it's got like little flecks. But this is our buckwheat that we're using, and it just looks like regular flour. Let's get started. So first, we're gonna start by making a blend of buckwheat flour and all-purpose flour with the 1.5 cups of buckwheat and 1.5 cups of all-purpose. We add a little bit of salt. It is a teaspoon. So with a teaspoon of salt in there, we just mix it up, get the dry ingredients all together. The only dry ingredient that we left out is the baking powder that comes later, just because it causes, it reacts too quickly. And if you put it too soon, the pancakes become rubbery. And it's just not a fun time. So now that the dry ingredients are all mixed up, except for the baking powder, we're going to add 2 cups of cool/lukewarm water, which I've got some right here. Okay, now that's all mixed up. I'm just gonna leave it to the side for now. Let that bloom for about 30 minutes. Now that it's been 30 minutes, if you look at it, it's kind of like gloopy, glutinous mess. All good, that's what you want. You're gonna add 2.5 cups of boiling water, which I boiled during the 30 minutes. If you use the flour that is milled up in Edmundston and like the Madawaska region, it's gonna turn like a yellowy color, and that's perfect. You can really smell it. And then you just mix that in. It's gonna be thick at first and not want to mix in very well. So you just gotta work at it. Try not to splash yourself because it is boiling water. She is hot. But yeah, it's like a nice thick wall paint type consistency. So now that it's at the consistency I want it and like everything's incorporated, you add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Mix that in. I'm gonna start having that like chemical reaction, creating the bubbles, which is why you don't want to add it in earlier. And now that that's in, let's go to the stove. But I've got a cast iron pan on the stove at like a medium-ish heat. So you could theoretically use a different type of pan. Theoretically. That's not how it's traditionally done. That's not how we do it. Cast iron pans hold on to heat a lot better than other pans, and they just work better for this. Who doesn't love a good cast iron pan? People who are scared of cast iron pans. They're not scary. So once the pan's heated up a little bit, I'm gonna add some butter. It's gonna smell so good. I've been craving these for a while now, so I just figured I'd make them. You know? And you don't want to let the batter sit still for too long because it will settle. I'll just give it a good stir, good mix. So you want them to be very thin and relatively even. I'm not super good at that yet. So if you look at it, the eyes on it are not super visible, kind of not there. So we're gonna add a bit of baking powder to the mix, just to revive the eyes and give it a good swoosh. I'm gonna do chemistry again. It's gonna bubble up again and be all good. So you want all of the dots to start popping up, and right now we can kind of see there's like some really yellow parts and the white parts. You want all the white parts to be gone, or at least not shiny, or like not wet, kind of look a little dry. But you know it's a good ploy when it's got lots of eyes, which are the little dots. If it doesn't have a lot of eyes, it's just rubbery and not the right texture.
He has a good cameraman.
The best cameraman.
Oh,
He
absolutely.
definitely knows what he's doing all the time.
Look at him. He's looking at the camera.
Not the clock.
No. The cam. There is no clock. No, I don't know what you're talking about. It's not in shot, so it doesn't matter.
The plays are done.
Wow. Oh, she's so excited.
Yeah, I know. Kisses. So the plays are done. Ginny is here, wanting them. There's a few different ways you could eat them. Always with your hands. If you eat them with a fork, you are wrong. So you take your play. There's a couple different methods. By the way, second guest on the channel, Emily.
Wow, crazy.
Who was holding first guest of the channel, Ginny. So there's a few ways to eat them. Our preferred way is just with some butter and brown sugar. You just kind of put some butter on there. The only utensil that should touch a plate, a knife with butter. And brown sugar. You roll her up. Cheers. Cheers.
Good soup.
Good soup. So much better than eating them plain while they're cooking.
Yeah, plain they're warm.
That's true.
Even while they're cooking, they're like hot. Hurts to hold.
Yeah. Another common way to eat ploys, molasses. Again, it's not so much, well, there are different methods of putting molasses on ploys. You're either the type to put it on and then roll it up, or to like roll it up and dip it. Butter is a must.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have it with croton, which is like a pork, if you want to go more the savory route. But these are delicious. hits the spot that like I've been craving them for weeks. Now to feed the rest of the family and like devour these ploys. Hopefully you enjoy making them. And again, if you can't get your hands on the flour, regular buckwheat flour will do, I guess, if you have to.
Nope.
Mom disagrees.
Much protest from Mom.
But it is easier to get like Korean ingredients than it is to get this flour
Yeah.
literally anywhere else other than Edmundston. So like, if you're in northern New Brunswick, in like the Madawaska area, pick up some of the flour. Make some ploys.
You already know the recipe, probably.
If you aren't in the area,
If you're anywhere else.
I'm sorry. It's kind of the same thing with like cast iron. You could, in theory, use another pan.
Nope.
Once again.
But that is only in theory, not in practice.
Nope. 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 Nope.
With a lot of protests. And that's how you eat ploys. 10 out of 10 would recommend. They're delicious. Goodbye.